It's been almost 3 weeks since Final Fantasy VII Rebirth finally landed on our PS5s, and if you still haven't finished Square Enix's absolutely gargantuan RPG, well, fair enough, we don't blame you. Beating Rebirth can take anything from 30 to over 100 hours depending on how thorough Cloud was on your playthrough, but even if you have rolled the credits and saved the day yet again, there is plenty to be getting on with in Rebirth's post-game. From endgame exclusive content to ramping up the difficulty in hard mode to going on a Ferris wheel date with whoever you like, let's take a gander at everything you can do and see in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth's post-game. First up then, the classic question, does insert game here have New Game Plus? Well, Rebirth doesn't actually call it that, but once you've completed a save file, you essentially unlock a New Game Plus version of the game with a bunch of new features becoming available once you've rolled credits. The most useful of which, probably, at least from a completionist point of view, is Chapter Select. This option will allow you to replay any of the game's 14 chapters and do it with the brand new hard mode option, which we'll talk about in a bit because that deserves its own little discussion. But Chapter Select can be used by loading your completed save file and going into the system menu in the pause screen. Where things can get a smidge complicated is how progress works between Chapter Select because you have a few options to play with. Put most simply, all progress carries over with you when you choose a chapter to replay. Character levels, materia levels, affinity rankings between Cloud and his friends, basically everything. Generally speaking, only specific story progress within that chapter will be reset, but there are a few options available to you if you have something specific in mind you want to do. You can retain current quest completion data, which keeps everything where it is on your current playthrough. You can restore previously completed quest data, which will import progress from different save files, which can be useful if you're looking for a quick way to get all your boxes ticked off on a playthrough once you've already done them. Or you can reset all quest data, which resets all progress for the chapter that you're about to replay. In practice, this means that if you missed out on a green checkmark for a side quest by pushing too far through the main story, or, just forgetting about it, which I can relate, you can simply choose the chapter it's unlocked in, reset all your quest data, and then once it's completed, choose a new chapter and restore your previous quest data, making getting all the side quests done in this absolute behemoth of a game just that tiny bit easier, and saving you having to restart chapters of entire playthroughs just because you forgot about that one side quest 4 chapters ago. Now, while we're talking about completionists and getting everything done, we should probably talk a little bit about hard mode. If you're after the Platinum Trophy or trying to beat everything Rebirth can throw at you, you are going to have to face up to this punishing challenge eventually. When you use Chapter Select, you can replay a chapter on hard mode, massively ramping up the difficulty of enemies and particularly bosses whose damage output especially goes through the roof. You get huge XP and AP boosts by playing on hard mode to accommodate for this, but item usage goes out the window and benches will only replenish your HP, so keeping your MP stocked for only the most difficult enemies is probably your #1 priority. We'd also recommend getting yourself to level 70 before taking it on, or as quickly as possible when you do. It's a fairly achievable goal just by grinding a few endgame enemies or a few enemies on hard mode, and it means you'll actually be able to tank a few hits when a boss inevitably blindsides you, which, believe me, unless you're the best soldier this side of Midgar, they absolutely will while you adapt to the higher difficulty. It's also just more fun, because slogging through at level 55, or heaven forbid even lower, is a true test of skill that I honestly don't want to play through. Speaking of, once you've rolled credits, you'll get the chance to test your abilities in harder combat simulator challenges, thanks to Chadley suddenly working out how to pull off hard mode variants of the challenges with new rewards to grab, and the same goes for Rebirth's plethora of minigames that get new challenge tiers to take on, and with their own sets of rewards to unlock. Hard mode is also the only way to collect volumes 7 to 15 for each character's manuscripts. They're completely inaccessible without taking on this ramped up version of Rebirth, and for good reason, since they give you a much needed 10 extra skill points to spend on your characters to either boost their stats even further beyond, or get extra abilities that might suddenly become very useful against trickier bosses. So that's hard mode, but thankfully beating Final Fantasy VII Rebirth doesn't just reward you by curb stomping you to the ground with a harder difficulty. There's also a lot of fun to be had with Rebirth's unique brand of New Game Plus. For a start, you can shake up your character's outfit anytime you like using a changing room, and yes, that includes beachwear, but it also includes the Shinra gear and some Loveless performance outfits too, if you just want to add some variety to your playthrough this time around. And you can make far more informed decisions on which dialogue options will advance Cloud's relationship with whichever character you're talking to the most, or least, I suppose, depending on who you're trying to cozy up to on the Ferris wheel date. Not that that's the only thing your relationship standing affects, obviously, it's just the one you care about the most. Basically, every dialogue choice in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth has a star rating that informs how that choice affects your relationship with a character. When you replay through a scene, you'll see the star rating of choices you've made previously, so if you've accidentally upset Aerith that one time and it cost you the Ferris wheel date, New Game Plus will allow you to tweak that timeline a smidge. And obviously you can jump between chapters fairly easily in chapter select, so resetting so that you make the right choice for you and know exactly what not to say when the time comes makes enhancing the relationships you want the most a hell of a lot easier. Of course, if you end up with the wrong character on the Ferris wheel date anyway, you could always just play God and tell the game who you want to go with. The extra settings menu unlocks at the same time and helpfully appears on the same menu as chapter select and comes with a ton of options to either spice up or cool down your playthrough, and even demand exactly how certain scenes play out. You can personally select which characters you go on a date with in Chapter 8 and Chapter 12, and if you've really messed up and just want to get the happy ending you were trying to get, you can even tweak the Chapter 12 date event conclusion and choose if you get the intimate conclusion to the Chapter 12 date or not. The extra settings menu also lets you mess with tactical mode slowdown, which will adjust how much the game slows down mid-battle when you select actions, turn on the ability to automatically pick up materials without having to hit the triangle button, which honestly can be a godsend, and if you're in a rush or you just hate Zack for some reason, it'll even let you skip all of Zack's scenes as well. Suffice to say, just because you've rolled the credits, you are far from done when you beat Final Fantasy VII Rebirth for the first time. So why not let us know which character you had to tell the game to put on the Ferris wheel down in the comments. Don't forget to like and sub for more just like this, and while we've got you with us here at GG Recon, YouTube's almighty algorithm has pulled this perfect video out just for you, so why not check that out as well.